Hey everyone, this is Hannah Suszek, and my research project was a lab-based project where I attempted to use the ICP-MS to analyze the trace metals in duct tape adhesives to attempt to match the sample of tape to a specific roll or brand of tape. So duct tape is commonly found in crime scenes, especially in more serious crimes such as murder or kidnapping and etc. The current analysis of duct tape is not always effective. They currently use FTIR and XRF along with some physical characteristics like end matching and color analysis. But the success rate of this is only about 68%, and in order for evidence to be used in court, usually the success rate has to be over 90%, especially when using it in more serious crimes. So the ICP-MS allows for trace metal analysis of materials, and it has a higher sensitivity than XRF. The objective of this research was to use ICP-MS alone to analyze the trace metals in duct tape adhesive and determine if there was a difference between the adhesives of different brands. So for my methods, I started out by going to Meijer and Walmart, and I bought 3 different brands of tape, 2 rolls of each, 1 roll from each store. And the brands that I decided to use were Duct brand duct tape, T-Rex tape, and Gorilla tape. I soaked the adhesive in methanol to try to loosen up the tape adhesive, and then I just used a paint scraper to scrape it off. I then put the scraped adhesive back into the respective methanol solutions and let the methanol evaporate to prepare for microwave digestion. So for microwave digestion, I used nitric acid and hydrochloric trimethylglycine, and I ran this on the USP organic setting. And then after the digestion, I just diluted that to 50 milliliters with ultra pure water. And at this point, I realized that there was still some white particles floating in the samples. So I had to centrifuge them to make sure that there were no solids that were going into the ICP-MS. We assumed that these particles were likely titanium dioxide, which is a white pigment that is commonly used in duct tape adhesives. So after centrifuging, the samples were analyzed via ICP-MS, and then these results were used in an analysis of variance test, or an Anova test. The Anova test requires that none of the values are negative or 0, so any of the values that came up like this were replaced with 1/2 of the detection limit, which was calculated for each element by taking 3 times the standard deviation of the blank concentrations for each element. And the Anova test was used to determine if the values for each brand were statistically different from the other brands. So for my results, I found that many elements in duct tape adhesive were determined to be statistically different from the 3 brands analyzed. And as you can see from the Anova test results here, any of the null hypotheses that were rejected were determined to be statistically different between the brands. The Duct brand tape was problematic because it was really hard to scrape the adhesive off even after soaking in methanol overnight. So many of those concentrations were below the detection limit, and therefore for the Anova test they were the same. These graphs just show the results for each brand for sodium, manganese, and cobalt, which were 3 of the few elements that showed a difference for the Duct brand concentrations. So this research determined that ICP-MS could be used to match a sample to a brand of tape using trace elements, but more research definitely needs to be done in order to use this in a professional laboratory setting, especially when trying to use to try for a serious crime. A better solvent method also needs to be determined to loosen the adhesive from the backing, or a new method and analysis needs to be done to determine if you can do it with the whole tape sample. And in conclusion, because only 3 brands were analyzed, there definitely needs to be more research done to determine if this can be done with all brands of tape. ICP-MS may also be used in combination with FTIR and XRF. This may help better those methods and raise the success rate. So ICP-MS would aid in this because it better analyzes the low mass metals and also has a higher sensitivity than XRF. Thank you.